there's some at the microphone.
Call to order the May 11th, 2021 Transportation Committee meeting. All councilmen are present, and along with our council chair. And Councilman Cagliati will lead us in the invocation.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to meet tonight and address transportation issues for the citizens of Ascension Parish. We ask that you guide this committee, help us to make the right decisions for the right reasons. Help us to continue to respect one another in our decisions, whether we agree or not. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Cagliati, for the prayer. Moving on to number 3, Committee Chairman's Report.
Mr. Lawler, I have an item that I'd like to request that everyone add to the agenda, please. So I'll make a motion that we add a parish resolution for a project commitment for STP 200K exempt funding.
Second.
Second.
We have a second. We need a roll call, please.
Councilman Dow Waggesback.
Yes.
Councilman Denton Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman John Cagnolati.
Yes.
Councilman Michael Mason.
Yes.
Councilwoman Terry Hutto.
Yes.
Chairman Aaron Lawler.
Yes. And we will add that item as item A1, so it'll come right after the minutes. Get that over with. Moving on to the public comment. We do have a speaker, but they would like to speak on item K, is that correct? And you would like to speak? Okay, great. So we'll hold that until item K. If anybody else in the public would like to speak, there's nobody there, more than welcome to. Moving on to general business, acceptance of minutes of the April 6, 2021 meeting as written.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
We have a motion by Councilman Mason, a second by Councilman Cagliati. Any discussion, any objections? None, so moved. Item 5A is a parish resolution, project commitment for STP, $200,000 exempt funding. What this is there is state funding that's available to us. We have been working to find roads that qualify. We had initially found some roads that we thought qualified, put a list of them on here. Many of them didn't qualify. So what we've done is, through Mr. Burst and HNTB, they've helped us identify ones that qualify, and we have a list on here. It's my understanding we're probably not going to be able to do every one on this list, just based on the funding, but it's going to give us some options. What's wonderful about this is, once again, this is money that is found money. Basically, as other parishes weren't able to use it, through Mr. Burst, he identified it, applied for it, and is going to do everything he can to get it for us. So do we have a motion?
I make that motion, Mr.
Second.
Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Lambert, a second by Councilman Cagnolati. Any further discussion?
Just
Any
one,
objection?
one discussion, please.
Yes, Councilman Lambert.
So the criteria for the funding on this, what are they looking for? What's, you know, I see I have Merritt Evans Road at Highway 44, Joseph Arrow Road.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Mr. Burst to help us with that.
Certainly. What this is, well, a parish resolution was passed a couple of months ago. The Central Parish was able to secure some federal funding that falls into an exempt category that actually goes away at the end of this federal fiscal year, that cannot be extended or reapplied for. And so this has to be something that we're doing some mill patch and overlays on several routes that are on a Fed aid eligible system. The first group that was submitted, several of them were deemed by federal highways as non-eligible. So even though this already had passed to commit the 20% matching funds, we had to come back through with a replacement resolution identifying a list of potential replacement candidate roadways for the overlays.
So you have 13 listed here. You think all 13 is gonna make it, or
It can fund approximately 10 to about 11 and a half, close, 10 to 10 and a half, excuse me, miles of roads if we just do a mill patch and overlay. This is very close to that, that limitation. And obviously, we can do minor adjustments to this list or can go over the federal allotment, but that would be a parish's
On the
sole
parish.
responsibility.
Okay.
And again, it wouldn't be any widenings or right-of-way acquisition, strictly a mill patch and overlay, the crown width of the roadway.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Any further discussion? Okay. Any objections? None, so moved. Thank y'all. 2021 Transportation Impact Fee Update. Mr. Fournier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is our annual update to the Traffic Impact Fee Program by ordinance. We're required to look at the Engineering News Record Construction Cost Index and basically adjust the traffic impact fees accordingly. This year, the fee went up 1.34%. I've got a schedule that's before you. John, if I get the overhead on, please, to show you where we are. I'd also like to give you an update on the amount of monies that we have collected so far for the program. And as you know, the program itself is divided into 3 zones. Zone 1 is the West Bank. Zone 2 is the south part of the East Bank, generally divided by Highway 74. And then Zone 3 is the north part of the East Bank, generally everything north, including Prairieville and that area of the parish. Zone 1, the West Bank, so far we've collected, and this is as of March 2016 when the program began. In Zone 1, West Bank, we've collected $107,067. Zone 2, again, the south part of the East Bank, $3,291,347. And Zone 3, the north part of the East Bank, $7,253,485. So we've collected quite a lot of money from the program, all right? Some of the monies, we've been working with transportation, with Joey, with Mike Enlow and some of the others, and some of the monies have been allocated and they're being used now for some construction projects across the parish, okay? And so I just wanted to give you that update. With the schedule right now, the current fee amount at 100% is for a single-family detached home that's less than 2,000 square feet is $2,779. With the increase, the 1.34%, that it went up to $2,816, okay? Now, we levy right now on the East Bank, we levy 70% of that fee, right? What we're recommending is that we go up to 80% of the fee on the East Bank. So you can see the differences now. For a single-family detached home that's less than 2,000 square feet, currently it would be currently it is $19.45. It would go up to $22.53. All right, so all of these numbers, as you can see, are adjusted. So the columns on the far right is the 2021 fee, adjusted for the 1.34%. Plus, we're levying at 80% instead of 70%. That's our recommendation. So I'll let you guys, I'll answer any questions if you have anything beyond that.
Councilwoman Kaza.
Jerome, thank you so much. Would you remind me what year we implemented impact fees, please?
2016.
Okay.
I think it was around March of 2016.
And we have, I think in 2016, perhaps tell me how we've graduated up to the 70% that we now collect. How has that worked?
Well, the first year or two, we collected 100% of the fee. I think it was the very first year, all right, from 2016 to 2017.
I thought it was
Okay.
30.
We collected 100% of the fee amount, all right?
Really?
So then when we went back and did the adjustment in 2017, if I remember correctly, it was 2017, because it jumped up, there was a lot of discussion at the council level that said, well, that was quite a bit of a jump. We didn't really want to go that far with it. We thought it was expensive for a lot of home buyers because remember, the fees are collected from everybody, all right? It's not just subdivisions, it's individual homeowners who's building a property, building a home on their lot out in Santa Maud or Prairieville or wherever. Everybody pays the fee. In fact, even the parish pays the fee. We collected fees for the new fire station. We collect fees from the school district, all right? We collect fees, anybody who basically has a project that generates traffic, we collect fees from them, all right? So it was discussed at the time, around 2017, that, it's a pretty heavy burden for some property owners, all right? Now, there are some exceptions that we can, and I've generated a number of exemption letters for people that are replacing a home within 5 years. They're exempt from it, those type of things. So, and I've generated a lot of letters on that. We exempted some of the fees, people rebuilding after the 2016 flood, so we did that. But now we're looking to get back on track, I think, and I think the discussion here is that instead of jumping from 70% to 100%, let's do a graduated increase, and maybe in 2 or 3 years we get to 100%. So that was the discussion here.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Just before moving on, it was my recollection that we started at 70%. That when we approved this, it started at 70%. We never have collected 100%.
My recollection is that, and I started my
But I'm-
position June of 2016, the program was already in place. And in 2017, I had recommended that we do an update to the program because the initial study was done around 2006. It was pretty old. And I think back then, there was some discussion about implementing the fee, and then it was delayed. It was never put in place. So in 2017, I had recommended to the administration at the time and to you as the council to update the program. So we hired Duncan and Associates out of Austin, Texas, and they came in and updated the program. And it was at that point that we decided to do the percentages, East Bank and West Bank.
Okay. Councilman Cagalati.
Yeah, I think it was in 2017, that's when we made a 70-30, 70% on East Bank, 30%
Yes.
on the West Bank. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Councilman, I'm sorry, just pointed to you.
Okay. Would it be possible, so I'm all about information to the public, would it be possible, or how difficult would it be to put a report out where those funds have been
Where
contributed
they're
to
being
what
utilized?
projects and things like that?
Yeah, sure, I can get a list of those for you, yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to
I'll
some
work
point
with-
put it on a website or
Yeah.
find out a place to put it,
Yeah.
but I think people would like to know that.
I mean, if you notice at some of the places, I think it's at Roddy and along Roddy Road where we're building the roundabout, we put the big signs out there, and on the sign, it does say that we're using traffic impact fee funds on those signs, yeah.
So
Where it's applicable.
are they on the Move Ascension site? Oh,
Yeah.
my mistake. I should know that. But,
Yeah.
If they're not, we can easily update it
okay.
to put that.
No, I think it'd be good for people to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
And we can also provide a list.
Okay.
Well,
If I may add- Oh, go ahead.
And one of the things on item number 2 on my staff report, much like we did in 2017, I'd recommend to the council that next year, 2022, that we do another upgrade to the project, all right? And it states in the ordinance that every 5 years, we should basically, get our consultant on board and upgrade the program, update the program, all right? So I'm making that recommendation here for next year, so that way I'll put it in my budget for next year, that we can do that with our consultant.
Councilman
But
Cagalati.
the automatic increase is based on the ENR?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Lambert.
not to get on a soapbox here, but, I'm a little bit opposed. We're coming off of COVID here, and, I don't know, there's never a good time. And I would, I would feel better staying at 70% where we at right now till we get out of this. If we had something out there, or if y'all can tell me that some of these projects are just, we're having a lot of fatalities and different things, that we are correcting, I wouldn't have a problem going to the 80%, but dealing with what we've come through with COVID and everything else that, the country, the parish, everybody's trying to get back on their feet. And, I think the 2,200 is just a little bit steep. That's my 2 cents.
Councilman Waxback.
I would just make one comment, so I can appreciate that. I mean, I would say, do we find a way where if somebody proves a financial hardship, we maybe put an exemption, but I can tell you for all these neighborhoods and these new houses being built, if you talk to a real estate agent, they can't sell enough houses right now. And I mean, I don't think 2,200, when we're being told infrastructure first, and I think it'd be wrong to take it away from the people that don't even feel it. They're moving here for our schools. I mean, that's a tuition payment a month to add to that to help our roads. So I'd say I'd compromise with you to find a way to, if there's somebody financially impacted that's trying to, put up a residence that, that impacts them, but, for everybody moving here, I think it's important that we collect that and put that towards road programs. So that would just be my comment. I'm not saying you're wrong, or just to give an alternate view to it. If you talk to a real estate agent, how many, I mean, they can't, I've been asked to sell my house. I mean, they're approaching people. They can't find enough houses to sell. So in that sense.
Councilman Cagliari.
Just out of curiosity, last year, this is a 1.34% based on the ENR. What was it last year? Do you recall?
It was a little over 5%. Yeah,
So COVID probably did have an impact,
very large.
without a doubt.
Yeah. Well,
Do you remember the dollar amount?
But wait, Councilman Cagliari, if you look at the collection, the calculation at the bottom, let me move this up a little bit. So we calculated based on the engineering news record, June of
Okay.
2019 to June of 2020.
It was June to
right?
June.
So
Okay.
part of that, about half of that time period, maybe a little bit less than half, was during COVID, right? So there are a lot of factors that are involved in the engineering news record, cost of construction index, and I suspect that next year it'll probably be very high because of the cost of lumber, right
And
now.
steel and everything else.
Yeah,
right.
exactly, yeah.
Do you remember the dollar increase last year? The fee?
Well, the fee went up, last year it was $1,945.
What was it the year before? Do you recall?
I don't recall what that is.
Okay.
And I don't have it here.
I mean, this is $314 is the way I
Like
calculated it.
17 something,
Yeah.
16, 1,700.
Yeah, somewhere around that neighborhood.
That's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Yeah, I'll add, I've always been a proponent of bringing this up to 100%. We hear it all the time that infrastructure we need to build. When you factor in an extra, somebody said 300, or I said about $300 into a 30-year mortgage, it doesn't, that will barely make an impact, maybe $1 a month, less than that. Not even that, yeah. I mean, if people aren't buying a house because it's gonna cost $1 a month more, they gotta look at their budgets a little bit better than that. Because it shouldn't make that much of a difference. That's just my 2 cents on it. Do we have a motion to move forward either at 70% or 80%?
I'll make a motion to move it up to 80.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Waxback, a second by Councilman Mason. Do we have any further discussion? Do we have any objection? No objection? So move to the full council. Thank you all for that good discussion. Item number C, transportation impact fee road modification.
As part of the traffic impact fee program, we have identified certain roads in the parish that we're able to spend the funds that we collect from the impact fees, right? And those are on the map that was presented in your package, and they're indicated in red on this one here. And the formula that's used to calculate the fee is based on the linear distance of all the roads that we have in the parish, based on a construction cost per width of road and that type thing. So the formula is very complex, but it's also based on, like I say, the linear distance of roads. So if you put roads in, you need to take some roads out in order to keep the formula working. We're gonna adjust that when we go back next year and have the program updated, right? But for right now, there's some discussion about adding in Cannon Road all the way from, was it,
O'Neill.
yeah, no, all the way from 931 to Airline Highway, all right? We want to add that entire stretch of Cannon Road in. And we're trying to work out a deal right now where Cannon Road ends at its western terminus. It dead ends down that road. We'd like to see if we can get a connection all the way to Airline on that. And this would provide another east-west corridor for traffic, for traffic in the parish, right?
Okay, amazing.
And so we'd like to add that section in. And there's also discussion about adding in section of Highway 22 down below from the Sorrento Parish line all the way to where 22 meets River Road, all right? Right, right at River Road. So in order to add those two in, as I described with the formula, we have to take some out. And working with the administration, we looked at Highway 75, which is River Road, all the way up to where 22 meets. And the numbers aren't exact, but they're close enough to where we can get the formula to work for us. And with that section, we'd pull that section out of the program and add Cannon Road and Highway 22 in, all right? Now, if you decide to include or exclude some of those, we can make adjustments to the Highway 75 corridor, right? But that's kind of the way the formula works, and that's what we're suggesting here. So,
Councilman Cagnalotti.
Jerome, 75, that's mostly industrial, that's River Road, right?
yes, it is.
Okay.
But
So a lot of that's industrial development,
it is, exactly.
so it's plant traffic and
Plant traffic,
So-
yeah.
Councilman Cagnalotti, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilman Mason.
So when you say remove that Highway 75, what do you mean?
Well, we're gonna take it out of the program. So what we're
program?
not gonna be using funds that we collect from the program
Ah, okay.
on modifying that road.
That's okay. That's what I want to
Yeah,
clarify.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love it. Cannon to Airline. I love that.
I do too.
Hold on though.
I'm just saying. If I get a vote, that's my vote.
Yeah.
You get it?
do get a vote.
I know.
So-
That's a great thing about being on council.
So we have added roads that don't exist yet into the program before. You know, if you can see the dash line that goes, Jonathan, get that back,
Yeah.
here goes through here to what might be that new connection to the interstate. We added that in a couple of years ago in anticipation of having a nice corridor going from Highway 30 up to what might be a new interchange at I-10.
I-10.
Right? So we have added that one in the past. And this little section, right at Cannon that would extend to Airline Highway would be an addition as well, all right? So that's something we could use funds to actually acquire property and build a section of that road.
So would that meet the Cannon? Would that meet pretty much right at 74,
Um,
or pretty close to it?
Close.
It'd be, yeah, it's immediately south of that, and we're actually looking at making that connection, and it'd make a big turn in Cannon in order to get up to that intersection, but we'd like to see if we can tie the two in, right? And we're working with Joey and some of the traffic people to see how that can work, right?
Excited.
Yeah.
I hate to tamp down on the excitement of that.
Then don't.
Well, there are other ideas in that area dealing with Black Bayou Road that we already have Black Bayou Road within the traffic impact fee system. And there's a reason for that. There's already some ideas about how we can tie in Black Bayou, Highway 74, and Highway 44. And that is actually in progress right now that we're digging deeper into. That's why I have some real hesitation about adding Cannon right now, because it's going to be duplicative of something that may not work as well as what is already being looked at right now. And I don't want to go too far because a lot of it is in the idea stage that we've been talking about, and we actually have some work going on with it. And part of this, the deal with Cannon is a neighborhood issue. I know the administration, I know the president has been working real hard to help that neighborhood, that it's a new neighborhood, hasn't even been built yet. You know, I'm a little hesitant to add a road in there for a neighborhood when we've got something going on right in that area. And that's the only reason I say, let's slow down a little bit on whether or not we'll connect Cannon, because I think there's a better idea that would connect 3 roadways there. Black Bayou, which would give you that east-west, 74 east-west, and Highway 44, which in that area is a 4-lane highway. If that happens, that's a much bigger and more beneficial project. My other concern is, you know, it may be industrial traffic along River Road. River Road is, you know, it is industrial, but that's where our citizens, our neighbors, they all work on that. Last night, oddly enough, I was driving home listening to NPR, and they were talking about putting a bridge, Mississippi River Bridge. And part of what they talked about was that corridor, the Highway 30 and River Road. I don't want to put us in a situation where, hey, yes, a bridge is way down the road. There's no doubt about that. But, you know, our industrial area is extremely important. To maintain those roads, to keep it up, I'd be a little hesitant to take River Road out of here, because our industrial corridor adds so much more to this parish from the perspective of giving us jobs, giving us opportunity. I just have a real concern taking that out of there right now. I'd like to give this a little bit more thought before we move forward with it, because we haven't really talked about this too much yet. That's just my 2 cents, because I think the opportunity, you know, may be there, but I'd really want to look at Cannon, and if that's the right thing to do there, if there are some other fixes there. Also, removing Highway 75 River Road, you know, we talk about being, what is it, the something of the parish, the sunshine of the parish, or the sweet spot of the state. You know, River Road has some potential there, especially when you get down to Homa's house in that beautiful area. You know, there are a lot of things this could be used for, but I'm certainly willing to listen to any further discussion and any motions. Councilman Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess what we need to really start, has anyone contacted DOTD on any of these connectivities?
No,
On any 3 of these?
No, because remember, the impact fee program is a parish program. It's not
Well, I know it's a
DOT.
parish product,
Yeah.
but you tie in state road either way we go with this.
That's very true.
And
Yeah.
they play a very big either yes or no.
Mhm.
I would say let's get straight with them first, and whichever one will go. And believe me, I'm for this Cannon extension. This is some of these, I guess was on our wish list for many years. So, I mean, we can think of all kind of stuff here, but if we have the blessing of DOTD, we have something to work with. If you don't have that, and I'm gonna tell you, with the J-turns and everything that they've have that's in place now, you're gonna have to, Joey knows, you're gonna have to meet their criteria to get anything approved. So that's where I would start.
Councilwoman Cazzo.
It's been a while since I participated in an active committee discussion, so it's really fun. So I'm thinking about, River Road, and certainly I think I remember that the amount of collected impact fees in that district that houses the current River Road was the lowest.
Well, not quite. The lowest is on the west bank.
Well, excuse me.
Yeah, the lowest is
Excluding
on the
on the
west
east
bank,
bank.
yeah.
It's the lowest of the 3
Yeah.
zones on the east bank,
So the-
east bank.
The zone that's
So-
in blue, on this map, is the zone where we've collected, let me hang on here. Zone 2 is the blue area. In that zone, we've collected 3.3 million approximately. The area to the north, this area, the smaller area in Prairieville and all, is the one we've collected 7.3 million.
So my thought is that River Road is probably less essential to the creation of subdivisions or anything, housing, anything that might generate an impact fee, with the exception, I think, of some industrial issues along River Road. So top of mind to me is that River Road would be the one that I would want to exclude, if any. I love the idea of Cannon. I would certainly bow to Councilman Wagasback. It's his district, and if he has a real desire to have that road added into this, I would be respectful of that. I need some more information about the addition of Highway 22. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is.
Okay.
And if you could give me some more information about why Highway 22 would be being considered as an addition. At this moment, I feel like River Road could come out, Cannon Road could come in. I would defer certainly to Councilman Wagasback. And I would like to see us understand why 22 would be important.
If you advance this to the council, I can certainly get that information to you before the council meeting.
Okay?
On the River Road situation, on all the industrial complexes that are located in River Road, if they're in a heavy industrial complex, let me step back. When they pay, the fee is paid when a building permit is issued, right? So of the larger, really large industrial plants, they do not come to the parish for a building permit.
Correct.
It's a state issuance, all right? So they don't pay the impact fee for large expansions of an industrial plant, all right? Now, if they put an office building that's outside of the industrial plant complex, they would pay the fee for that office building, all right? So when we're looking at all the industries along Highway 74, we're really not collecting a whole lot of fees from those industries because of the permitting issuance, all right? So that would probably be a consideration as yours as well.
Yes, that's my motivation.
Yeah.
So I'd like Councilman Wagasback what his thoughts are on Cannon, and then I may be prepared to make a motion if the chairman would allow me.
So I'd also like to hear from Councilman Cagnolati, because it also borders his district.
Sure.
It's both of our districts.
No, you know, just hearing Jerome talk about Highway 75, I mean, it sounds like, you know, if we're doing this as traffic impact fees from building houses, increasing traffic in the heart of Gonzales, I mean, Cannon certainly bears the brunt of some of that growth, and not just from District 9, but from Santa Ma, from, you know, it's a throughway to get to the plants and everything else, so, you know, without them being included and thinking of Cannon as probably a road that, you know, I don't know how many people travel down it. Some people probably avoid it because of the width, and then the residents are really unhappy with the width. You know, I'd like to see it added just from the standpoint of alleviating some of that. And it also does give an option to get to 44, even if we don't make that connection to airline. It still gives somebody a chance to go to 44 and take that right. Probably not the greatest place to take a left, but it certainly can alleviate some traffic off of Roddy and some of those other roads, so I'd like to see it added.
Councilman Cagnolati.
Yeah, we've been talking, as Aaron and Terry and Dempsey, we've been talking about this for a long time, about Cannon Road and how nice it would be to tie it into Airline Highway and let it intersect with 74 across Airline. And I just can't imagine if we can it's a parish road, so we don't have to worry too much about DOTD on this one at all, other than the tie-in with Airline and 74. But if we can make improvements to that road, it goes all the way to 431, and it would be another cross-parish highway that would, I think, help tremendously in getting people moving where they need to be. So that's my thoughts on it. Thank you.
Councilman Wagasback, Mason.
Flattered. I was thinking about what Councilman Lambert said, and I kind of have to agree. I wouldn't mind if we could maybe table this after we had a discussion with DOTD, just to make sure that it's okay if we kind of do that. I think that would kind of, you know, at least make sure that we're covering our P's and Q's, Councilman Cagnolati, whenever we talk about this, because I would love for us to be able to do this. I'm a huge proponent of this. I love this idea, but I would like to see us make sure that we, you know, we're okay. You know, we get the okay from DOTD. I think that would be a good idea.
I'll work with Joey, and we'll contact DOTD and, you know, get some feedback from them.
That'd be great.
So
Councilman-
I'm happy to make a motion to defer until that work can be done, and until you can get us some discussion, some information about 22 and what the purpose of that would be.
Okay.
And so that will be my motion, that we defer for further information.
I'll second.
Okay,
For next month, or?
Until they
Unless-
can get.
I'm happy to hear from Joe.
yes, Mr. Toro.
I think that's a really good idea. I think we could get DOTD involved really quick to know, because this is all about potential for relieving traffic congestion. So, whether you add or subtract a road does that road have a potential for a project to relieve traffic congestion? And I think that's what DOTD, and possibly, it would be good to have a consultant traffic engineer tell us that, like adding a turn lane here or some improvement in a certain area on this road and not that one. Where's the most potential to relieve traffic? So I think that's a big part. I think DOTD could give us that, and we could also, it's something we could possibly get a consultant traffic engineer to tell us that. Whenever we come up with a project, sometimes they sound great, but do they really give the cost benefit of it? So I think that's something that DOTD can probably give us a very good assessment, and we could possibly use a consultant to supplement that.
Okay.
Very good. Any further discussion? Councilman Lambert.
I'm gonna go way back on this. Can you put it back up?
The map?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a consultant that, this was many years ago, with trying to make all the connectivity to, during hurricane evacuation, icing of bridges, being able to move people across the parish. If you would, Highway 22, we was gonna use our levee system at Cannon Road and Gold Place Road. Do you see where Highway 22 comes back, Jerome?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, up in here?
Yeah. If you was gonna use the levee system as a road, connect on the Gold Place Road, use Cannon all the way to Airline Highway. There it is right there. So while we're looking for money, that was an evacuation route. Also to, it would have, if you had a major crash on Highway 22, you would be able to divert the traffic back through this cut to get them all the way back to Airline Highway.
Actually, not a horrible idea.
So this is the beginning, and hopefully, I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime, but that would be something that you would need to help the Highway 22 Marpole area. And that would, because when, we had, quite a few evacuations and situations where people were stuck. And being able to open that up, I know people on Gold Place Road, they didn't really like the situation, but it would be something to look at. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion? Any objections? Okay, this will be tabled to the next Transportation Committee meeting. Thank you very much. Okay. Item D, Subdivision Ordinance Revision. Mr. Fournier.
Yeah, this is just a cleanup measure for the ordinance. A couple of years ago, we ended up, for subdivisions, requiring them to post a maintenance bond. Initially, it was 12 months, and we advanced that to 18 months. Just basically, we wanted more of an insurance policy for a longer period of time to make sure that the roads and all the infrastructure was up to snuff, before we release the roads to the parish, right? So what this does is it cleans up section 19.4, 19.5, and 19.6 of the Code of Ordinances. and it just increases the date. We pulled out some language that referenced the old police jury and stuff like that, and just cleaned up the language here. So, right now, within not less than 480 days, nor more than 510 days after the date of the completion inspection report. So when we go up there and inspect the project, make sure that the roads are built to our standard. After 18 months, we release the bond, all right? We just wanted to increase the dates here, all right? Instead of it being a year, we're now, acknowledging the fact that we have an 18-month bond instead of a 12-month bond. And that's all this does. It just cleans up that thing.
Councilman Kakalati.
I understand. I see that they did forget to change police jury, and I guess it's 19.6B. It's in
Yes.
there in the third to last line, and again in C, it's mentioned, police jury, so just clean that up.
Okay, yeah, I'll clean up the language in there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed that. We'll get that cleaned
At
up.
the bottom of C on the left, at police jury after receipt of whatever,
Okay?
and in D, so.
Yeah, this doesn't really change the law. It just makes it correspond with what we've already done in the
Right.
past. Is that
That's
fair?
correct.
Right.
That's correct, yes.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a
A motion.
We've got a motion by Councilman Kakalati, a second by Councilman Mason. Any discussion? Any objections? None, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a safe trip, Pat. Department report, Mr. Tura.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something?
Yes.
Before you leave, Jerome, I want to take this opportunity to publicly acknowledge the effort that you put forth with the council, the Drainage Commission, in 2016 to ensure that we appropriately handled our assessments of damage. And I can tell you that as a result of your insistence that we do this the right way, and your education to all of us, that a difficult vote was going to be worth it, because in the long run, we would have done the right thing. Because of all of that, we trusted you, and we did it, and we're not in the paper for now having to go in and tell people that they've got to go raise their homes or sell them to the government. So I want to express my personal gratitude to you. I want to express that on behalf of my constituents and the council of 2016. And I don't know if these young men who are new understand how important those decisions were and what your education to us and to them going forward in the future is going to mean. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And I was a small part of that. My department, the planning department, and the building department were huge. They did the yeoman's job on that whole thing, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're
From
welcome.
all of us.
Thank you.
all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, we have the department report. Has everybody had a chance to look at it? If we had a chance to look at it, if everybody would like to ask any questions, we may be able to speed through it a little bit.
I'm good.
I'm good with it.
Do we have any questions on this?
I have some questions other than that.
Yes, Councilwoman Caza.
Joey, I have questions. Of course, you know, I texted you this last week. Seabro has been waiting a long time for construction. And last week, we had a head-on collision there on Seabro Road. Obviously, it was a result of most likely distracted driving. But there's no room in that road for error. And much like Cannon, it's not as narrow as that, but it is still way too narrow. Is there any update on when we will get moving on Seabro Road to get that project underway?
Yes, I had a meeting, I've had two meetings actually with the prime contractor. There were some things that I needed to do to make it a little more constructible. I am making fairly major changes to the typical section. I didn't think it was conducive to the environment that we have, the type soils that we have and all that. So I had some help with that to get a better section of something that works well in our environment. But I did get good feedback from the contractor. And then I went back to the drawing board with some more help from other people that, to make sure that we have a more constructible roadway. We're going to meet again early next week, and hopefully after that time, we're going to get the ball rolling and actually get boots on the ground, actually get people out there actually doing work. And I think the construction time should be shorter than what was anticipated by the plans. So I think that'll be another plus whenever we can get started. But I'm with you. I'm ready to get going on it. We're gonna have a meeting, and I hope it's one quick, productive meeting, and we'll have another small exchange of ideas and get people moving.
If you need any encouragement for them from me, I'll be happy to be there.
All right, great.
I can beg, I can cry, whatever it takes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Councilman
Thank you.
Kekalani. Oh,
I was just, Terry, in conjunction with Seabro, weren't we looking at another cut from 73 to Swamp Road?
Correct. That's gonna be another Move Ascension project. Jeff Burse with HNTB's been working on that diligently. Of course, we have a consultant on board that's doing a lot of the legwork on it, but Jeff is always involved in setting everything up. But it is gonna be a cut through road from Bluff to LA 73, which is exactly what Seabro is.
Yeah.
But it'll be a little bit further to the south, and it's gonna, get the goal is to get the traffic away from the interstate a little bit more. Just get it away from the interstate so that you can get some relief to that cluster. That happens every morning, every evening.
Oh, it's a cluster, all right.
Right. Right.
No doubt.
I sit
Thank
in
you
it.
for asking about that, John. I had that one on my mind too and got distracted.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, so all right-of-way has been acquired on this project.
On Seabro, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And all utilities has been relocated.
Yes.
So all we waiting on now is this final meeting and you're gonna start.
Yes. I'll put a change order together. And, of course, the change order will have to be approved, but we'll, once we get that done, we're ready to go.
Will this be an increase or a decrease change order?
Should be a decrease.
Okay.
We love decreased change orders.
Right.
Can we pre-approve that?
Do we have to does that have to come back to this committee and back through the council process to get started? I mean, that's another 6 weeks.
Yeah,
Can we
I
pre-approve
don't
it?
think it would. Well, no, I mean, we're not changing the scope of the project, are we?
No, we're still widening the road, the same width of roadway and all that is gonna be there.
Yeah, I don't believe we'd have to come back.
No, let's
To
don't
the
let's
council.
don't come back.
Okay.
Let's
All right?
let's go to work.
Yeah.
We will do
Please.
that.
It's on the record.
We will
Time
do
is money. Do we have any other questions on the
I have a question.
yes, Councilwoman Kazan.
So I had it brought to my attention today, Joey, that we're having some challenges around our interstate interchange. We've been working for a long time with the CRPC, with Jeff Burst. We have the opportunity, I mean, I realize it's a long way out there, but we have an opportunity for an interchange on Cornerview. And I am going to be some kind of upset if we can't get that moving. If there's something we need to do, or this administration needs to do, to accommodate the opportunity for a interchange on the interstate, and we miss it, our citizens ought to rebel. I mean, we need that.
Right. And the federal government is the one that, you have, Jeff knows the process really
Yes.
better than I do on that, but it is a Fed, you have to convince the feds that that's where it's needed. The interchange is going to be where the feds think it does the most good. And I know from discussions that we've had, Jeff's been to all those meetings, and Mike, and we're hoping to make it attractive to be at that location. So we're working. Administration is working towards that, and we're doing projects to kind of help that along, make it more attractive to be there. So we're with that same goal. We certainly want, you know, an interchange there. If we do some things in the area, it'll make it more attractive to where, you know, the federal government independently, whenever they look at it, they may say that, hey, you know, it looks like this is a good place to put it. So that's what we can do on our end, is to make it, that location more attractive.
Well, whatever we need to do to make that location more attractive, let's do it.
Yes, ma'am.
We need an interchange somewhere in our parish. And if it has been determined that Cornerview is the right spot, and I remember in discussions with Tommy Martinez, my God, 10 years ago, that was the right spot, and the state believed it was the right spot.
Right.
Because of the opportunity to relieve Highway 30 and to relieve Highway 74 and 73 by turning all that plant traffic before they ever get to 74.
Right.
So I can't believe that we would take a chance with, these discussions and not accommodate whatever we need to do, whatever in Mr. Burst's opinion we need to do, in the CRPC's opinion we need to do, to make this location as attractive as we possibly can. And I think we've got to get it done. If there's something that's
Agreed.
standing in the way, you let us know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. There's a lot of opportunity here. We have missed interchanges in the past. Piku Lane would have loved to have had that interchange in Ascension Parish. I assure you that this body would love to work towards it. CRPC is working towards it. We're doing everything we can to make it attractive. We need the administration on board. Anything you can do to help make sure they stay on board and don't backslide on this, it's really important, because, we start turning down interchanges. You can only get invited to a party so many times before they stop inviting you. And everybody in this state is looking for those tight dollars that are really hard to find. We have an opportunity. I don't want to do anything to blow that. And I think
Gotcha.
nobody does. Anything else? Mr. Burst,
Okay.
do you have any more?
I just wanted to briefly go over what we've accomplished in the past month. We've our crews, the parish crews, have overlaid 4 roads this past month. I do have a DOTD update. I'll just be real brief because there's not that many projects. 42 is actually all the asphalt. The only thing that's left on LA 42 to be done is striping and seeding and dressing, and mailboxes, little small things like that, so that the pavement is all there. And I know, there's been a lot of complaints about the darkness of the area. Whenever the striping and the reflectorized markers get put on the pavement, it's not going to be super bright, but it is going to be a vast improvement. You'll be able to see things a lot better than what you are right now. I know right now there's no reflective anything out there. So I just want to let you know that that's coming up. The LA 44 turn lane project is essentially complete. The latest information that I get on the airline bridge over Manchac is that it'll be done in this summer, which usually means late this summer. There are quite a few, I guess this past year DOTD had a few big projects. Next year is going to be quite a few medium to small projects, including the roundabout at 44 and 941. That's going to be let in May of this year, which is very soon, like next week. And then LA 74 is going to be done be let for bid in June, along with LA 70, which is actually in Iberville Parish, but it's going to straddle, in St. James Parish, but it's going to straddle Ascension Parish on each side. A turn lane on 61 in Cornerview, which is going to be a big help for visibility for left turns on Airline to get to Cornerview. Airline at Old Perkins, an additional turn lane the patching of the I-10 interchanges at LA 22 and 73, the LA 1 from 3089 to Iberville. That's actually LA 18, so that's River Road on the west side. LA 73 at LA 75 is going to have a turn lane. That's going to be late this year. And then the 3 roundabouts on LA 70 at I-10, that was going to be let in February of next year. I just wanted to briefly go over the off-system bridge program because we've had a lot of work on that lately. DOTD comes every 2 years and inspects the 83 off-system bridges in the parish, and they're wrapping up that inspection. We get a very detailed report on all of those 83 bridges. With that, I was made aware of 3 bridges that really needed some help right away. So that's why I had to put together, and I apologize for having to do that, having to put an emergency project together, and I had to bypass transportation because I wanted that to get done as soon as possible because DOTD was reporting that those bridges were really in bad shape. So there's 3 bridges that we will have pilings reinforced so that we don't have to shut down bridges. There's 3 bridges that the contractor, as soon as we get the contracts signed, they'll be working on those bridges and we won't have that threat.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilman Lambert.
I know one is H.H. Wilson Road. What are the other 2?
That's actually not the one there. On H.H. Wilson, DOTD informed us that if we repair one pile, and we're going to be able to do that in-house, we can
Oh,
actually
great.
keep that bridge
Great.
open long enough to get it replaced, because it's due to be totally replaced along with another one of the bridges. So there's 2 bridges that are similar, one that we can do ourselves to repair just enough to get us to where we can get a total reconstruction along with a bridge on Manchac Acres Road.
Oh, great.
And I really don't want to say what bridges there because, it kind of scares people whenever they think that a bridge is vulnerable.
Well,
But we're gonna jump on that really quick to make sure that we don't have a bridge that's vulnerable.
Good. And let the public know, because
Right.
some of them, I mean, the day of, and I know y'all, some serious calls were made. So let's get this out to the public as soon as we can.
And with that report and that realization, John Diaz had me and Brother Babin together in a meeting, and he did discuss that we will, in the very near future, and certainly in the next fiscal year, put this into the budget to where we're not only making repairs, because we have a list of about 11 bridges that need help. There's about 6 of them that are more dire than the others. And we're going to start budgeting for bridge repairs routinely. We have not done that in the past, and it's our fault. We should be doing that, and we will do that next fiscal year, is to allocate dollars to where we're not only repairing these off-system bridges, but there's about 60 parish-owned bridges that we need to do the same, and we also need to fund inspection of those bridges, because we have not been doing that in the past. So we won't do a full-blown DOTD. It's like a 20-page document with all kind of information, but we will get enough information to where we'll be ahead of the game, to where we don't have this threat of having to shut a bridge down.
Perfect.
Okay. Is that it, Joey?
Yes, we do have, R.J. Daigle is working on the 2020 road rehab project, so they've gotten quite a few of those roads done. It's actually it's it's over 12 roads that are getting overlaid. We also are going to have some roads that are going to be restriped, and we have one road that's going to have concrete patching on it. We're also going to extend that contract, which is a future item, so we'll talk about that later. We do, pavement preservation has been very active also, so I just want to let you know about that. They've done 24 different roads through the parish, so that's an ongoing process of pavement preservation to where we can take our good roads and extend them longer.
Great.
That's it.
Okay. Jeff, you'd like to come up, give a brief Move Ascension update? I know we got these and everybody's had a chance to look at them.
Well, that's one thing I left out, is the construction of 930 at Henry, which is our, the first roundabout as part of Move Ascension. Weather permitting, it'll continue to progress, but geez, it seemed like as soon as, we got some pipe in the ground and they got things done, tremendous amount of rain, but I think we do have a good contractor, and I'm hoping to get that one progressing.
I was just telling somebody, Joey, about that, about how, if we could just get a day or two without rain, it makes it much easier to put that underground drainage in.
Right?
I mean, it's just,
We put pipe in the ground and they're floating right.
yes. Jeff, would you like to? So I know we got your handout of just, is there anything you want to add that, or you necessarily go over?
Sure. I'll go over the briefing, and I'll hit some of these items relatively quickly, and please, stop me at any time, and I can expound on any one of these. First, on the construction side, and Joe just hit on that, we've been really kind of reining in these guys, these contractors. You can see the first ones that are already completed, and then Roman numeral 2 next up. Earlier it was brought up about Sebro, that's about to jump start. I think we're going to have a final meeting with the contractor next week. And as Joe just mentioned, the 930 Henry is underway. Hopefully we'll get some good weather for him to gain some real good progress here soon. And then you can see 3 and 4 right there. We're actually taking bids tomorrow. So those will be getting underway. One's a clearing and grubbing along the southern part of Roddy, and then we have some intersection improvements at 2 of the intersections on Roddy at Merritt Evans and Norwood. And then you see some of the other ones, the ones at Germany and 61, where we'll be doing some intersection improvements to mirror the Duplessis airline side. And then some clearing along Henry. The acquisition of right-of-way is progressing very nicely, and we'll be in a position to advertise and let that soon. And then once that's cleared, we'll be in a position to then send the utility companies over there to relocate their lines. Speaking of, if you move down to pre-construction, you'll see the ones for utility relocations. Last month, we had a utility summit. Myself, Joey, it was facilitated by the parish president. Him and the staff did a great job of really stressing the point. I believe a few of the council members were there as well, and everybody really from the council to the administration really did a good job stressing to a lot of these utility companies the importance of them getting in there to move their lines timely, because they are really the critical path to advancing construction. And then you'll see the next ones that are underway, and then we have been coordinating very closely with Shell Pipeline. They're going to extend their casing at that 929 Parker here very shortly, and that's been negotiated. And then you'll see the other ones as well, with particular emphasis on roundabouts. That's a lot of the low-hanging fruit, where if we can, once we acquire the right-of-way, we can clear those quadrants, we get those utility companies in there. It's only a few quadrants, even if it's all of them, where they just have to move several hundred feet of lines, some poles, possibly some underground utilities. Then they can move on to the next job, where we can really get our contractors in there and really get some asphalt on the ground. And that's specifically important here in these summer and early fall months. The next page, we kind of talk about right-of-way acquisitions, and you'll see of all the parcels we have for 23 roadway projects to date, some of them have excess of 75 parcels on them. We have acquired 216 to date in full, which is over half. 11 entire projects are completely completed at 100% acquisition, with 5 more here by the end of the summer. So we're moving on at a pretty good clip. And I think here in the next month or two's briefings, I may even include for the council and the members, that way it can become public record, is, like a timeline and step-by-step procedure of what does it take to even acquire one parcel when some of these projects have 75 plus. Some maybe only have 20. For a roundabout, for example, can have anywhere from 5 to 20. But some of them are quite extensive, some of these longer corridors, Henry, Roddy, 930, corridors like that. Same thing, we're getting ready to start the acquisition process on Germany and Duplessis. Those are 1 3/4 to 2 mile corridors. Each one has anywhere from 65 to 80 parcels, depending on which road we're talking about. So, as we move down, if you look into the section of financials, I did want to quickly mention that, we have been in a position and been pleasantly successful in leveraging federal and state dollars to accompany our local match. We had the replacement resolution earlier in the meeting today, and that's just one example. So far in the last 2, what the CRPC calls call for projects, Central Parish was successful in being awarded almost $17 million in those calls. We've secured another $2 million in DOT safety funds. Here, we just had to submit at the end of April for this new, what the CRPC calls call for projects, which is for fiscal years 23 through 26. And we anticipate, with the parish's sole applications, somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe just slightly of a handful of another $1 million in federal funds. But what's also exciting is that we've been getting very good feedback working with the MPO and DOTD collectively for a joint application that we just entered into an IGA with the city of Gonzales. We put in for an application for a joint application to modify multiple intersections along Airline Highway within the city limits and outside the city limits, and that's why it had to be a parish and city joint application. And from our meetings and talking with both the support of the MPO and DOTD, this project looks like it's going to have great success, and we've applied for another $14.5 million in federal funds for those multiple construction projects. As y'all are well aware, for the 930 and Gold Place road transfer program with DOTD, we were successful in receiving almost $5 million there, and again, that was cash, not future roadway credits. And actually, DOTD had to pay their last $1.1 million to the parish this year. We were successful, I think it was mentioned earlier, in receiving another $1.4 million in fiscal year 21 unobligated federal dollars. That means everybody in the MPO that went out and was successful, and it was one of those earlier call for projects I've just mentioned in one of these earlier bullets, that could not use their federal dollars and weren't, quote, at the ready. Well, we raised our hand and said Ascension can use those funds, and we were awarded other people's federal dollars. And that's the one I think we had mentioned at a previous meeting. We're gonna overlay 929 all the way from Airline up as it bends to turn north to Highway 42. That's already funded. We mentioned earlier about that parish resolution that was passed to move forward towards the to full council next week, and we're awarded another almost 2.1 million in additional federal funds. It'll be just around 2.5 million with our local match. Key is that is on a very fast, time-sensitive timeline, and that is because these fall under the specialty class of exempt funds, which cannot be extended or reapplied for. The state of Louisiana just loses them. None of the other members of the MPO even could meet the deadlines to put in an application. So Ascension Parish was successful in getting that, and we're efforting that as well. Jerome talked earlier about the traffic impact fee program. Working with Joey and Mike and Jerome, over the past couple of years. There's $5.2 million of collected impact fees that have been dedicated to specific Move Ascension projects. And we're working to attach more of those dollars to other projects as well. We'll be working with the planning division on that. And then in the financial section, I put an attachment in your packages. Some of you may already be aware of a lot of these.
Jeff, give one
Certainly.
moment. Councilman Wagensback has a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I might be jumping the gun too, so, you know, as you talk about federal dollars and all these monies that's available, if we're not ready to accept them or match them or do whatever we need to do, I mean, can you give us an idea of over the next 2 or 3 years? And I'm not saying tonight, but do we need to look at what our funding, and I might be jumping to your ending item, but I feel it's pertinent that you're talking about this, is we need to be ready to accept these funds and match them, or are we ready for for everything we're planning in Move Ascension the next 4 years? Are we ready to match those funds? Are those funds in line, or is that something we need to work for?
Well, I would say this, is that for what we have received so far, the Move Ascension program can fund the matching funds. Now, as we go out and attempt to secure additional federal and state dollars, if you look long-term, previously in previous meetings, we talk about, the long-range master plan, looking out past the next 3 to 5 years, how would that be funded? And similar to what the DOTD is doing at the state level, they're running into a situation where if they cannot find a recurring renewable source of funding, as opposed to, which is great, some of these one-year issuances, well, then they cannot even match their federal dollars that Federal Highways is giving them. And so it becomes dangerously close to not being able to take full advantage of federal dollars when they come your way without other means of a sustainable program.
So as we look out, I mean, how many years are we funded out right now?
With that is somewhat a lot of moving parts to that question.
Okay.
And I certainly can prepare a white paper or some kind of documentation that projects. Early on, we had looked at some projections for the long-range master plan, as well as for Move Ascension, developing a tool that looks at a lot of what-if scenarios. If we were to do certain projects, what do they cost, and how do we prioritize them based on the funding we have? Or if we were able to get, for example, you'll see in part of this attachment, $24 million from a federal appropriation. What does that do, and how do we best utilize those funds so we stretch it the farthest?
And can we steal that model and apply it to the drainage model? No, I'm serious. I mean, this is important. If we're gonna do long-range planning, and we have a
Yes.
good model to capture
Yes,
that, I think we
to-
need to capture it in drainage. No,
Yes,
we don't have to answer it
yeah,
tonight. I'm
well-
just throwing that thought out there. If
Yeah.
if we're talking about federal dollars and passing on them and not being prepared to accept them, I think it's worth something we need to look at potential projects and, we can discuss that in drainage, but yeah, I'd like to see that white paper and have that as part of our discussion. Again, it might be part of our discussion later, but I just thought it was important to talk about it now.
Yeah, well, certainly, speaking from the transportation side, we can certainly put together some models and also look at some forecast projections, and then what would that take to make those a reality, and then put together some information as possibly to do some joint steering committee meetings, and then possibly down the line, I would imagine, y'all would maybe want to do some public outreach. And then, of course, there's things that, we've prepared in other locations for situations just like that make it maybe a real general public user-friendly.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are screaming for traffic relief, so I think it's important we understand as a board and as a council, what we need to be prepared to spend to support these projects moving forward, so,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for stealing my thunder, but
Well, I just had
Go
a
ahead,
couple
Jeff.
more
Yeah.
things, and then, of course,
And we'll move
I'll
on
stand
also.
ready to take any questions. If you look down, you can kind of see that about a little over $23.5 million has been committed to date over the life of the program, and you can see a breakdown here of where that money has gone. As I mentioned, 2 more projects will be taking bids tomorrow, so that'll add to the construction figure. But then that's all the services that go into it, with a breakdown of each one as it stands now. And as you see, and as we move further down, for example, there won't be another month in 2021 without construction and utility relocations and going on, and construction on multiple projects. So you will see a shift in that curvature of the numbers. On the ongoing activities, that's very similar to a lot of the things that we've seen in previous briefings. Actually, next Monday, we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony for the 3 turn lane projects on Highway 73. That's being announced by Mr. McConnell with the Communications Department. And just lastly, we've been asked, and we're slowly updating the website to bring more current information. And I just put in your packet on that last sheet, just 2 real quick screenshots of giving information on very conspicuous parts of the website to talk about construction completed, what's upcoming, and then where all the pre-construction stands, and very graphical, easy-to-read representation, so that if a person says, I live on Henry, he can go click on that, and it'll bring them to, either to the specific project page or here to see where does it stand in relation to ongoing pre-construction activities as well.
Councilman Wax back.
Oh, yeah, I did have one more question. When I was looking at that pie chart, I know we talk about engineering design and how much we have to spend on that and why it's important. You talked about going over the process of getting a right-of-way or getting a parcel of land. And not tonight, you don't have to answer it, but I'd like to see us talk about how important are those engineering designs to getting federal funding? I'm assuming you have to have it. It's a requirement at some
Well,
point.
yeah, I mean, the entire process is important for everything we're doing with our bonded Move Ascension program, of course, with our local dollars. But as you mentioned, if we go to the CRPC, for example, and these call for projects, they have a 13-point funding formula criteria. And having a project that is more ready, with a little bit of pre-construction activities already done, with local dollars have already been spent, that scores higher. So that's why we have been successful in getting federal dollars each of these last several rounds. So that is one thing. But you're right, that there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just the engineering design of it. A lot of it is the topographic survey, the underground utility investigation, both preliminary and final plans for roadway, and if you have a bridge, there again, it's the right-of-way maps and property surveys that go into the geotechnical investigation. So there's a long process that goes into inception to putting a plan set out for bid. Again, just like with the right-of-way, I'll put a little something together for y'all for next time. And then you can see, as a matter of fact, I'd already previously developed a timeline of how we have somewhat streamlined the pre-construction process, all still falling within AASHTO guidelines in comparison with an actual DOTD project. And then I can show you all that as well.
Yeah, would that be something, and I don't know, we could talk about it, but I think it'd be something good could we incorporate that into the website so that somebody could, see what that process looks like?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Councilman Cagliari.
Yeah, Jeff,
Yes,
just
sir.
looking at the pie chart as well, engineering, 10 million, and construction, 7. At some point in time, that's gonna flip-flop. Am I right? I mean,
Yes, sir.
that's-
And I
that's
didn't
gotta
expect- I
happen
did-
eventually. But the engineering needs to be taken care of to help get funding so we can do the construction.
Yes, and I started to allude to that, and my apologies, I didn't expound quite on that, but as I mentioned, we do take bids on 2 more projects tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we'll have construction going on throughout 21 every single month, and then well into 22, And so you will see a shift in that curve where you'll see the numbers almost flop on that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Lambert?
Just two quick things here. Under financials, you secured $2 million with DOTD safety funds. I know this has to be spent within what the safety funds by school, or what is this, the criteria you
No,
have on
they're
it?
specifically applied to two specific projects, and it cannot be transferred off of them, and that's the Parker 929 roundabout
Okay.
and the Church Point Roddy roundabout. Both DOTD has programmed to let in this next fiscal year.
Okay.
They do that every year. They program it to
Yeah.
every year.
And the other thing is the, on the ongoing, the environmental with the core, permitting activities. How's that going? Have y'all received any permits from the Corps?
We've received every single permit from Corps for all the projects we have in the program, except the latest 3 roundabouts added, because we're not far enough along in design, and the new 73 to Bluff connector, which was just mentioned because it's just gotten started.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilwoman Cazza?
I'm good. Thank you very much for your thorough
Just
report.
lastly, I just want to draw your attention to this, I won't go through it all, it's a lot of information on federal funding opportunities that state of Louisiana, and in particular, Central Parish, can avail itself of. A couple of points I do want to make, and I've highlighted a few of them, so, and y'all can read through the entire 2 pages at your leisure, but in the COVID relief stimulus omnibus bill, state of Louisiana and DOTD is going to receive about $175 million, of which $20 million of that goes to all of the MPOs. The Baton Rouge MPO, of which Ascension Parish is a part of, is going to get approximately $5.8 million of that. So there's potential for, and that's already signed. So the money's there, it's already been uploaded. That is 100%, no match required, monies. So there's opportunity for Ascension with the 155, and DOTD has yet to exactly decide, to my knowledge, how that will be spent across the state, but there's opportunities for Ascension there, and certainly, again, with the 5.8 million that the Baton Rouge MPO will receive. And then just next on item B, on the next page, I did want to just say that of all the 5.2 billion that state of Louisiana did receive on that recent American Rescue Plan Act of 21, the 1.9 trillion that the president signed, that Ascension Parish will receive 24.55 million. That is money that has already been designated and awarded. So, and again, as you see here, DOTD, it hasn't been determined of the 5.2 million for the entire state of Louisiana, how much will go towards transportation in DOTD. There's a lot of numbers floating around, but it's multiple hundreds of millions. So again, there's opportunity. Ascension Parish, not all for transportation, that'll have to be decided, by the administration and jointly with the council of how that money will be spent on. But I imagine that some towards transportation, some towards drainage, some towards recreation, some towards, a litany of the items and the needs around this parish. But there's also that other opportunity with the DOTD, and because their portion will be several hundred million. Again, I'm not privy to how they intend to spend it, but there's opportunity there. I just wanted to point that out. And at the bottom, there are other grants out there. They're resurrecting earmarks under a different name. All of the rules and procedures have not been decided on. For example, the House Appropriations Committee has decided on their rules, but the Senate Appropriations has not. And I give a little bit of a breakdown in your packet as to kind of where those things stand as of now. It is highly fluid, and by the end of this meeting, some of that can possibly have changed.
Councilman Cagnolati?
Yeah, mentioning the American Rescue Plan Act, 2021, NACO has fought very hard in D.C., and what they got accomplished is, this is direct funding to Ascension Parish. It's not going through the state. Prior to this act, everything went to the state of Louisiana, then they sent it out and distributed it according to their plan. So this should be coming direct to us, but where the kicker might be, the rules, where you have to spend that money. And John Diaz and I have been having a lot of discussions about that. We're researching it, trying to find out what the rules are, because I'm not certain of the figures, but we were supposed to get like 8-point-something million in the first round, and we couldn't spend but about 2 million, 2.3 or something like that, because it was so directly COVID-related. Now, another thing that NACO is telling everybody is that these funds will be a whole lot more flexible as far as how you use them. So I guess that's just a tale for another day, and we'll find out.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Oh, Councilwoman Cazzo.
Yeah, this is a great time to remind you about that interchange. When you start talking about these kinds of pots of money that are realistically going to come into our coffers, I think that we have got to be ready for an interchange. So if there is something standing in the way of that, we need to know about it. And the citizens of this parish need to know about it, so that we can put pressure where pressure needs to be put to move this forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much for that report.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to move on to item number 5F, I apologize. Approval of substantial completion for LA 73 turn lane at Oakland Drive.
Motion.
We have a
Second.
motion by Councilman Mason, a second by Councilman Wagasback. Any discussion, any objections? None, so moved. Item 5G, approval of no parking on shoulder signs on Broussard Road, smoke bin for safety improvement.
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Cagliotti, second by
Second.
Councilman Mason. Any objections? None, so moved. Item H, approval of speed limit and children at play signs on Caesar Lane for safety improvement.
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Mason, second by Councilman Wagasback. Any discussion, any objections? None, so moved. Item I, approval of change order MC-02 for the 2020 asphalt reconstruction and overlay master contract.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, motion by Councilman Cagliotti, second by Councilman Mason. Any discussion, any objections? None, so moved. Item J, roads to be considered for acceptance into the parish maintenance system as follows. Mr. Turo.
This is Phase 2 and 3 of Oak Lake Subdivision. You see on the list, there's Anna Oak Drive, Scarlet Oak Drive, Shumard Oak Drive, Trailview Drive, and Waterview Avenue.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Lambert, a second by Councilman Mason. Any discussion? Any objections? None, so moved. We have a very, thank you, Joey. We have a very patient public speaker, Mr. Nicholas Nave. I apologize for this taking so long, but I applaud your determination to stay here.
You get 3.5 minutes.
6.
So, main reason that I'm here tonight is we've been asking for some assistance on AC Road. As of right now, we've been let down. We've done everything that we can to try to control the speed that goes down my street. We have 19 kids under the age of 12 years old. We have Santa Monica Baptist Church that I've also been asked to speak on behalf of. We've had sheriff's deputies called out there 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week. We're stealing deputies away from Ascension Parish to come watch people speed up and down our street. We've mitigated things by using the radar trailer, and they've been nice enough to let us keep it 4 to 5 days at a time. If you guys want to know what speed control measures work, I can tell you. The speed tables that you guys have talked about will work. We installed speed bumps ourselves on my street, 4 sets of them. And you can look at the call log with the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office, and you can see for 8 months, we were satisfied. Our kids were safe. We have a changeover in a lot of the people that live on our street and the trailer park past where all of our residences are. They don't have a sense of community. They don't live there. They haven't always lived there. Most of them don't have kids. So there's not a lot of care. And there's been, Mr. Juneau, he has been approached by Parish President and Sheriff Wiley to talk to his residents. It's not his responsibility. He's a business owner. The responsibility to maintain and control speed on that parish roadway is up to you guys. And that's what we're asking for help with. So far, how many speed tables have you guys installed? That's a question I have for you, because I'm pretty sure I know the answer. We had this under control. We paid $1,700 ourselves, and you guys made us tear it up. And if you want to know how passionate I was about it, you can ask Mr. Turo. I know he remembers that conversation. We do not want this to continue. We have a lot of things at stake here, and we were asking the parish for some help. You guys are talking about Duplessis. What are you going to do? Are the speed tables going to work? Are they not? You can drive right here at Tanger and see it works. You know, we had 2-inch speed bumps, not overly aggressive, wasn't in danger of hurting anybody's vehicle. It'd been nice if you guys could have adopted that into the speed control measures. But you went with something else that y'all have to pay for. We had it under control. You guys just need to understand, if something happens to one of these kids, somebody speeding up and down my street, it's going to fall solely on Ascension Parish and the elected officials that made us remove these speed bumps. And we don't want to see that. We don't want to get into a debate. We don't want to get into anything. We're asking for help. Please, somebody from this parish, come out and look at what we got going on. We haven't seen any movement in 10 months. And I was told very soon after funds were allocated for something like this, our road would be a perfect pilot to see if speed tables would work. Please consider AC Road as the first project that you guys would try. That's all.
Mr. Nave, while you're there, if you would, get with Mr. Toro or Tacey Rabelais. We have a speed calming protocol. It's not as simple as going out there. I don't know who you've talked to about this before, but what it requires is that, and this is very in brief, that the neighborhood get signatures together. They go to the parish with those signatures, a certain amount, because in the past, when we've looked at this, we've been consulted on this, not everybody always wants them. So we want to make sure, and I think in your case, it would be very easy to get enough signatures, but you have to make sure we have enough signatures to make this worthwhile. Once we have that, I believe the process is you go back to the parish with those signatures, then we can look at what's going to work best for your area, and then design it, and we do have funding for it. The first step, though, is please talk with either Joey Turo or Tacey Rabelais. They can walk you through the traffic protocol. There's a traffic calming protocol. So there is a way to do it. I'm sorry you weren't informed about it before, but that's the way to do it. We don't just go out there and put down speed devices, in part because a lot of people don't want them, just to be perfectly honest with you. And you may put it down and 75% of the people say no, and you find out it was one loud person that really wanted it. So our goal is to get buy-in from the community before we go out there and spend that money and have to tear it up. I'm sorry y'all had to tear yours up, though. But
It's okay. Mr. Turo, I'm sure he remembers that it was exactly the opposite. We had 95 to 97% in favor of. We had one person loud that didn't want it.
Okay, well, no, and that's
what
fine.
made us pull it up.
But-
And we have signatures in place, and Councilman Melanson has been to my home and spoke with everyone that's in favor of this, and we had signatures.
Okay, we have a traffic calming protocol. We'll make sure Nation follows that, and they can give you some help.
Yes, sir. I'll give Mr. Turo on it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do we have any further discussion on that or any comment?
I mean, it is a big problem. I get tons of calls. We talked about this in strategic planning. I get calls all the time about speeding in residential areas. We got to, I mean, I like that we have the protocols, but maybe advertise it a little bit better, because I'm learned some stuff in the last meeting about it.
Yeah. Okay, item K. Councilman Lambert, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. While we're on that discussion, I mean, we out here, we overlaying a lot of roads right now, a lot of them, no lines, and they're real dark. I find that the outside white lines, heavy coated, is really helping to slow the traffic down. But, I know as soon as we get through with this overlay, I mean, we need to get on the striping program as soon as possible. And I think that would help us, slow it down.
Okay. Councilman
I
Cagley?
agree wholeheartedly with Councilman Lambert. The paving is beautiful. I've gotten calls from constituents in my district, man, this is great, but at night, you can't hardly see the shoulder. And I think not just the center striping, but if you can do that outside line, it really helps. Especially when you have not much of a shoulder or no shoulder.
Excellent. Okay, moving on to item number K. This is a discussion for long-term funding for transportation projects. I put this on the agenda because I hope this is a multi-month-long project that we start talking about. And I know Councilman Wagasback kind of touched upon some of the things that, I aim to get out of this. So I'm going to start with a brief soliloquy, I guess, and we'll open it up. Tonight is not going to be the night that we talk about all the numbers and all the planning. I'd like to use this as an opportunity for me to let the public know, to let y'all know, do it in sunshine laws, do it the right way, so that we know kind of where I'd like to go with this. I want this to be first a learning experience for the council, but for the public also, in a way for us to explore where we are on things. Number one, I want us to look at the scope of the transportation department and understand what we're responsible for, what our transportation department is responsible for, because I think it's a lot more than people think. We've just heard about striping, we've heard of traffic calming, we've got roads, bridges, overlays, and new construction roads. There's a lot that we are responsible for. I'd like to look at historical budgeting, spending, and then current budgeting and revenue, so people know how much we get and how we're using it in the past and how it compares with the past, but today, and what we can look at in the future. In line with that, there's a cost of road building, maintenance, and improvements, the widening, the signs, everything that we're responsible for. I want to get us to a point where we have a discussion, and hopefully we can have our engineering partners and our administration help us explain the cost of doing road work and all the aspects of what we have to do, including on state roads, on local roads, how it's different, the cost of right-of-way acquisition, the cost of moving utilities. The step 4 in this was, and this was mentioned before by Councilman Wagasback, is the process of projects. What are the life events in a project for a road construction project? Where we go through how we do feasibility studies, how we look at the design work and how that's done, the right-of-way acquisition, clearing and grubbing, utilities relocation, and then the actual construction process. But also, and don't worry, I'm going to email this to everybody, but I didn't want to violate any sunshine laws.
I'm not writing it down.
But also talk about why we have delays. And so the public understands that when they see a project that's been delayed and we have a change order for 15 days or for 30 days, it helps them understand why there was a delay there. And that we do expect that there'll be rain delays, but there are also things such as hurricanes and freezes that come up. And I know I've mentioned this to some people in the public recently that wonder why utility relocation takes so long. Well, the fact of the matter is you have a very limited amount of crews for each of these utility companies that are assigned to our area. And when you have a tragedy like in Lake Charles, a hurricane that destroyed it, those crews rightfully leave our area, stop moving our utilities, and go get their power back on for those people. And when you have a freeze throughout the state of Louisiana, which was unprecedented, that stops our utility relocation, and those crews go elsewhere. So I'd like to be able to discuss that with the public and educate, why we have some of these delays. The next step is reviewing of master plan and cost and looking at future projects. And this is something that Councilman Waxback was speaking about. We need to look to the future, how we're going to pay for all of this. And finally, that's the last thing, is how do we pay for it? We hear all the time, day in, day out, infrastructure first. I think once the public sees what our budgeting is, where we get our money, how we are not wasting transportation dollars. We're putting it to its very best use, yet we are continually falling behind on work. And, I was disappointed. We don't have anybody here from the public. It's amazing. Everybody will show up to scream no about something. But when we want to try and find some solutions to things, the public doesn't show up. And that's, I'll be honest, it's somewhat disappointing. That being said, if the public does show up in the future, I'd really appreciate it, because this is going to be a solution-based discussion over the next couple of months. And what I mean by that is, I'm not going to really tolerate much talk of, or any talk about, we'll just stop developments. Because I'll be honest, that doesn't solve anything. We're looking for solutions. If we hadn't built a single subdivision since 2015, we can all agree, we would still have traffic problems. Stopping it does nothing to solve the problem. What we need to do is look forward, how are we going to solve the problem? And we have a good idea of how we're going to solve it, quite honestly. We have a master plan. What we don't have is how we're going to fund this for long term. And there are a lot of ways to do it. We just got out of a terrible sewer situation that's going to put a lot of money into our pockets, but it's not going to put nearly enough to solve our problems. And that's just the reality of it. So we're going to have to find other ways to solve these problems and then see if the public wants to do it. Because we hear all the time, I know we all do, infrastructure first and build new roads and everything that goes with that. This is not going to be an easy conversation. I'm not expecting to win any popularity contests by bringing this up, but it absolutely has to be done. So what I'm going to do is I'll put together an email after this to everybody and the administration and a lot of our partners in the engineering world, and see if we can put together a plan over the next couple of months to explore these topics. And then at the final, maybe 3-4 months from now, have a real discussion on what are we going to do about the future of transportation in Ascension Parish. Because at this point, I don't think it's hyperbole to say we simply don't have the money to do everything we want to do, and that needs to be done. We are developing a lot of plans. We have a lot of good design work. And, I have to say Mr. Burst has done a great job of leveraging the money that we have, the limited money that we have. But that's going to run out one day. We had to bond out a lot of money, and once that runs out, I don't want to put us back in a situation when we're simply out of money and we can't do the road work that I want, our constituents want. I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we all up here understand the importance of it. So that's basically what I've got. Hopefully, in the next 3 to 4 months, we can really learn about what we spend, what we need, what we do within transportation and the transportation department, and I'm hoping for the cooperation of everybody involved. And I'll open the floor if anybody has any discussion, or we just
I like it.
leave it at that.
I like it.
Councilman Mason, he likes it.
I like it.
Anything else? Very good. That's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. So moved.